Ya tú sabes, DJ Suzie interview for the Dominicans in Cali page. Lights, camera, action.
Bueno, mi gente, aquí tenemos a DJ Suzie, la primera entrevista de Dominicans in Cali. This is the very first, and it's a blessing to have DJ Suzie. Hablar con ella aquí un ching.
Gracias, mi amor. Un honor, súper privilegiada por ser la primera entrevista. Dominicans in Cali, I've followed your page since I moved to LA, so.
Thank you so much. Who's DJ Suzie?
Bueno, yo nací en Nueva York. I'm the only girl of 7. Fui súper apasionada a los deportes desde niña. Loved basketball. I think I could have made it on a professional level, but my hoop dreams got shattered, and I ended up trading my Nikes for a pair of heels. Started doing beauty pageants, and I did really well. I was known for participating in Nuestra Belleza Latina. Fui una de las 12 finalistas en el 2009, y luego volví a hacer la edición VIP en el 2016. So I got a lot of notoriety from that show.
Talk to me a little bit more about your childhood. How was it growing up, being half Mexican, half Dominican, you know?
Bueno, para los que no saben, que yo siento que ya la mayoría saben que soy orgullosamente una Dominimex. My dad's Dominican, my mom's Mexican, y se conocieron en Nueva York. Es una mezcla no muy común, pero en realidad no hay mejor mezcla que el plátano y la tortilla, without question. The only girl of 7, I grew up with brothers. Everyone thought I was the princess growing up. Todo lo contrario, they treated me like one of the boys, you know, so I think that made me very tough growing up. So, you know, always loved sports. It was never about the Barbie dolls. It was always about basketball, baseball. And then eventually I started doing beauty pageants, so kind of came in full circle. My dad always wanted me to get into modeling. So curiosamente, cuando era niña no me gustaba nada lo que era femenino, concursos de belleza, nada de eso. Pero ya de adulta me empezó a gustar el modelaje, and that's how I ventured off.
Okay, so tú me dijiste que tienes 7, son 7 en total?
Somos 7 en total. Tengo 6 hermanos.
What made Suzie the Suzie she is today by having 6 brothers?
Growing up in an atmosphere with just boys, honestly, my brothers inconscientemente created a monster, honestly. And not because, you know, they taught me the ropes, but just watching them growing up, I wanted to be like them. I aspired to be like my brothers. Mi mamá y mi papá se divorciaron cuando ella estaba embarazada de mí. So I never got to experience that, you know, that whole family. We grew up, it was a very broken family. But my mother stepped up to the plate. She was my mom and dad. And my brothers, you know, took care of me. So I watched them, you know, growing up, looking up to them. And, you know, I have to say that, you know, I wouldn't change anything from my upbringing. I am who I am because of that. And I'm extremely proud.
Right. And how's your relationship with your dad? I know you mentioned him. He said it was a broken home. How's your relationship with
dad? So my dad, you know, he wasn't really around when I was growing up. He would show up to the birthdays. He would show up to the special occasions. But my father's actually currently incarcerated. He's serving time in New York. So, you know, the relationship is not really there, unfortunately. But, you know, it is what it is. He's my dad. I love him to death. And, you know, I pray to God that one day, you know, our family will come back and, you know, we'll reunite and we'll be whole again.
So you're originally from what city, born and raised?
So I'm originally from Corona, Queens, New York, baby. Hey, Crown City, baby.
That's what's up. Why did you move to Los Angeles? Why, you know, of all places in the world, why LA?
All right, so when I was, I actually moved to North Carolina when I was 14. Moved to North Carolina with the hopes of playing collegiate basketball. And at that time, my brothers were incarcerated, so my mom didn't want to raise me. You know, she just got fed up with New York after so many years. She's like, nah, this is not gonna happen to my daughter. I want her to grow up in a more calm environment, and she supported all of my dreams. So if I wanted to be a basketball player, she was all for it. So we moved to North Carolina, and I lived there for about all my years of high school up until I was 26, and then I moved to Los Angeles after I did the reunion show for Nuestra Belleza Latina. Porque I was in North Carolina, and I started, you know, doing my beauty pageants, and then I did Nuestra Belleza Latina. I got a lot of exposure doing that. I became a club promoter. A lot of people don't know that's how I got into DJing. I've always had a business mentality. I mean, growing up in New York, and then just, you know, through my brother's experiences and seeing what they did in their lives, I'm a hustler at heart, and I'm a businesswoman. So once I did Nuestra Belleza Latina, and I gained that notoriety and that exposure on an international level, because we're talking about, this was 2009, this is when TV was popping, pre-social media days.
Wow.
And me entrevistaron en Don Francisco and all the big shows on Univision when Univision was really popping. So I took advantage of that opportunity and I developed my own beauty pageant. And I actually used to work as a cab driver. Yo era taxista. When I was 18, I actually dropped out of high school. I'm sorry, I dropped out of my first year of college. I did my first year of college, dropped out of college, and I started driving a cab because I started getting into the whole modeling thing. And my dream was to move to LA and pursue a career in acting. A lot of people don't know that. So I started driving a cab to save money so I could make that move to Los Angeles. But it never happened. I ended up staying in North Carolina. And when I did Nuestra Belleza Latina, I took advantage of that exposure and I created my own beauty pageant. And when I did the audition in Nuestra Belleza Latina, I told the producers that I was a cab driver and they ran with that story. They loved it. They're like, oh my God, you're a cab driver?
Right.
So everyone knew me as La Taxista. So my cousin, who's, I grew up with my Dominican side of the family, my cousin Oscarito, he sits me down and he goes, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea to start a cab company and we'll name it SUSIE Taxi? And I go, damn, that's a fabulous idea. Let's do it. So he did exactly that. We did the paperwork and we created SUSIE Taxi. And this was before Uber, before Lyft. And yeah, we had at one point, I think we had about 15 cabs.
With all having the printing.
SUSIE Taxi.
So how did you get into DJing? Who introduced you to the DJ game?
All right, so around the same time I was doing my beauty pageant, I got offered an opportunity to promote at this real beautiful nightclub in Raleigh, North Carolina, in downtown Raleigh. One of my friends was actually a partner at that club and he was looking for Latin promoters. So he hits me up and he's like, hey, Susie, you know any promoters that would run a Latin night at this spot? And I go, of course, my brother and I will do it. My brother had just gotten out of prison. So he was just like having a hard time adapting to reality and adapting to society. It's hard for someone who goes to prison to get a job, he was a felon, unfortunately. So, the job opportunities were not there for him. When we got offered to promote, that was kind of like a way to motivate him. And, he's all about, hustling and tirando flyers in the street and posters. So this guy, my friend, actually gave us the opportunity to have the entire door to ourselves. So we were charging $10 a pop. So my brother and I were making close to $100,000 a year just off this one night.
That's crazy.
That we were promoting.
That's crazy.
But we went hard. I mean, we did, we revolutionized North Carolina. Like everyone knew me for being on the show, and then they also knew us from our promoting. So everyone knew that our parties were the hottest parties, and we brought a bunch of artists to North Carolina. So we would fly DJs from New York, a lot of LNP DJs, Lo Maximos Productions, big shout out to them. We would fly these DJs out to North Carolina, and my job was to supervise them. I always made sure that I was in the DJ booth and, make sure that everyone was having a good time y que la pista nunca se vaciara. And my mom worked the door. She was like que cobraba en la puerta. She would charge at the door. And my brother's job was to accommodate the VIPs. So we all had responsibilities. And I never wanted to become a DJ, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't something that interested me at all. So we ran this party for about 5 years. And my brother made the crucial mistake. Well, I don't know if it was a mistake because I consider it a blessing in disguise. But we had this party in downtown Raleigh that ran for 5 years. And he ended up moving the party to a different venue. And Latinos, they don't like change.
Relocating, yeah.
They don't like relocating.
Word up.
But my brother was having a tough time with management. And the party was kind of dying down because the owners weren't really fixing, the proper details at the club, sound, lights. And my brother was like, fuck it, let's just move the party. And he did that without consulting me. I was actually in Santo Domingo when he made the move. Y mi mamá me llama y me dice, Susie, Kaylin moved the party, we're going to Mirage, which is another club. And I was like, damn, why are you going to try and fix something that's not broken?
Right.
So, but, we went along with it and it ultimately became our demise. The empire that we worked so hard to build just shattered. Crashed. And my brother went into a huge depression. We lost everything. I'm telling you, everything. We went from making $100,000 a year. And then again, at that point in my life, I was so young, making so much money. And growing up, I didn't have anything. So when I started promoting and making money through my businesses, I was like, oh my God, let me splurge. I would go to Vegas and gamble, designer, red bottoms, Jimmy Choos. So I really never saved money or prepared for a future. So when that crash happened, that financial crisis that we suffered, we had no choice but to stop recruiting DJs or booking DJs from out of town. Y mi mamá fue la que me dijo, you know what, Susie? I don't know, I have this feeling. She says, tengo un presentimiento. This is my Mexican mother. She said, mami, yo tengo un presentimiento que si tú te conviertes en DJ, te va a ir muy bien. Do it. Why don't you do it? And at that point in my life, I was very stubborn. And I was like, oh, man, come on. This is my party. I'm the owner of the party. What do I look like DJing my own parties? So I kind of frowned upon it. But it came to the point where we couldn't afford any DJs from out of town, and I had to step up. And I bought my equipment, and I always said I didn't want to be a phony DJ. Because the DJ that was working for me, and this is the crazy thing, a lot of people don't understand. I relate to promoters so much because I ran this party for 5 years, and I would bring artists, so I know exactly how the system works. So I had this DJ that worked with us for 5 years. He was our resident DJ. Y él no tocaba en vivo. I'll be honest with you. He would get pre-recorded mixes from New York, from DJs in New York. But the thing is, he looked good.
Download the LMP mix.
Yeah. He would front, honestly. He would front like he was DJing. Y cuando yo traía los DJs de por fuera, they would see him DJ and they're like, yo, this is a joke. Like, this guy doesn't even DJ. And I would, I didn't really care because el tipo se veía bien. He promoted, and at the same time, he was good on the mic. And his mixes were good because they weren't his mixes. So if you think about it, people that go to the club, they don't really know what the DJ's doing. They don't really care what the DJ's doing as long as the music's good.
Facts.
Right? So this particular DJ, I knew he wasn't DJing live, I'll be honest, but he was bringing people to the club. He was promoting. He looked good, and he sounded good, and he hyped the fuck out of our crowd. So to me, that was more important as a promoter. So then when my brother moved the party to the other venue, his idea was to move the whole team. Y lo que pasó fue que the manager from that place actually reached out to the DJ, my DJ, and said, hey, fuck DLS, because my company's name was DLS Premier. He's like, fuck DLS.
De Los Santos.
Why don't you, exacto. He's like, why don't you stay with the club yourself? You get the whole door money. So, ¿qué pasó? El DJ nos dio tremenda puñalada en la espalda, backstabbed us, and he stayed with the party. So the reason why our empire crashed is because no one stopped going to that other spot that we started. So that's the reason why I started DJing, because we couldn't afford DJs from out of town. But I never wanted to be like him. I'm gonna learn how to do it the right way because I don't want anyone talking shit about me like they do about him.
100%.
So then, I have a cousin that's been in the game for years. He's, since the mecca of DJing, and he taught me the science. I had a few sessions with him, and he's like, this is how you beat match, and he showed me the importance of song selection.
So you know all the fundamentals of DJing.
100%.
Beat matching, mixing.
Everything. 100%. And every
100%.
market's different. Right. And that's the thing. I get underestimated because I'm a female, and no es por nada. I used to model, so what I show people on my Instagram, on my social media, is me posing, in a very sexy way, sexy pictures. That's just how I, like to do my thing. I just like looking sexy and taking pictures and doing photo shoots. So these DJs that have been in the game for 20 plus years, they look at me and they see that I'm getting all these job opportunities, right, and they automatically assume that the only reason why I'm getting these job opportunities is because I look good, and that's what promoters want.
100%.
Which they're not wrong. At the end of the day, they're not wrong, but you know what? I'm a businesswoman, and I know that sex sells, so that's why I do it.
Right. I've thought about that. I say she has to know that sex sells, porque cuando estás modelando de que los fitness, de que yo, I'm like,
claro, mi amor, nalga y tetica, nalga y tetica.
Ya tú sabes. What are some of the toughest things you have to deal with, on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was very blessed from the moment I put my headphones on and I did a photo shoot and I announced that I was gonna do a debut as a DJ. Because I had that exposure from Nuestra Belleza Latina. So once I started, promoting myself as a DJ, people started calling me from all over the country. Oh, you're a DJ now? ¿Cuánto cobras? How much do you charge for a set? So to me, it was like, oh man, I can make money doing this. So what really ultimately in the beginning was a necessity became my passion and my calling in life. And DJing really saved my life. It really did, because I don't know what I'd be doing right now. So, one of the toughest things I think is just, dealing with scrutiny and dealing with these other male DJs that don't respect you. And, but I have tough skin. So that really doesn't bother me. It actually fuels me and it motivates me to become better.
Who's your favorite DJ?
I think my favorite DJ of all time was DJ AM. You know, I respected him and how, you know, he was a pioneer and how he was one of the big DJs that started getting paid that big money in Vegas. So his whole story really inspired me. Personally, you know, I got to shout out my boy Alex Sensation. I actually booked Alex Sensation a few times while I was a promoter. So that's how him and I became cool. And he would tell me, hey, Susie, why don't you DJ? I'll teach you. You know, there are not that many female DJs out here. You should do it. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. That's not for me. You know, I'm the boss. I don't do that.
How's your relationship with Alex Sensation right now?
Oh, cool. I was just with him in Miami. We were partying it up, and he's super dope. He respects me, and that's what I love. Is that as a DJ, you know, he doesn't look at me as just another DJ that's trying to make it. He sees the hustle. He respects it, and he's helped me out with pointers and just giving me good advice. So I definitely, you know, have to show him love and give him props.
So far, what's been your biggest venue that you say, whoa, I cannot believe I did that?
Wow. So, I mean, there's been a few whoa moments in my DJ career. One of them, I think it has to be number one, was DJing in Madison Square Garden. So growing up, I was a huge fan of the Knicks. Loved basketball. Latrell Sprewell was my favorite basketball player of all time. And I bled orange and blue. You don't understand. I was the biggest Knicks fan. But I never went to a Knicks game as a kid. Never went to a Knicks game. So when I started DJing, I always, you know, thought that DJing in Madison Square Garden would be like it's a bucket list, right? So I just recently, you know, had the opportunity to DJ one of the Canelo fights because I'm Golden Boy's official DJ in Madison Square Garden in front of a sold-out crowd, about 22,000 people. That was amazing. That was amazing because one, I'm from New York. Two, it's the world's greatest arena. I also DJ'd in the heavens. I DJ'd on a private jet, so that was awesome.
When was this?
This was I DJ'd a private party for Oscar De La Hoya. See, that's another thing. A lot of people think that Oscar just gave me the job because I'm a girl. I had to prove myself to him. Like I had to DJ a few parties in order for him to see, hey, this girl has talent. She has skills. So one of the places I DJ'd was on his private jet.
So can we say that DJ Suzie is currently signed, or is that an independent thing?
Yeah, it's an independent thing. Yeah, I have no exclusivity with Golden Boy, but I do give them priority when it comes to bookings. Yes, because I love boxing at the end of the day, and I love DJing those boxing events.
Are you good at boxing like you are in basketball?
I think I could manage to fuck a few bitches up, but
what does it take for?
But I'm a lover, not a fighter.
What does it take for somebody to really get under your skin? And piss
you the fuck off? If you lie to me, if you get in my face, if I feel disrespected in a way, it takes a very long time for me to get upset. It typically doesn't happen. I try to hold my composure, but yeah, if I just hate feeling disrespected. So if I feel like you're crossing the line, then I will definitely hurt your feelings. I don't care if you're my friend, if you're my family, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, doesn't matter. I definitely keep it 100 with everyone.
You were talking about earlier about a bad experience you had with your old manager.
There was this guy in Dominican Republic who hit me up when I first started DJing, and he saw the potential. He's like, oh man, this girl could, she could get bookings out here in Dominican Republic. Let me hit her up. And so he did. He hit me up and he asked me if I wanted to do a tour in DR. And at that point, I was hungry. I was like, oh man, yes. I was fresh into the whole DJing thing. And that's the thing. I've been blessed with so many opportunities because I am a female and because I was on that reality show. So, people just started booking me like there's no tomorrow. And I was able to do a tour in Dominican Republic. And this guy who managed me, he hooked me up. And I'm not going to lie, I feel like I owe it to him, to show agradecimiento, because he put me on the map out there in DR. Me di a conocer because of his contacts and the bookings that he provided for me. But, sometimes greed is the root of all evil, and money. So I think that's what happened towards the end of our business relationship. He got a little greedy and he did me dirty, man. He did me dirty. When I would go to Dominican Republic, I would go maybe twice a year. And I would, do these tours, and, towards the end of our relationship, of our business relationship, because I really considered him like a brother. I really confided in him, and I trusted him. But towards the end, I think, we just started arguing too much. We had our differences. I lived in LA. I caught him in a few lies. I was starting to lose trust. And I think he realized that we were just heading downhill. And he started booking me without me knowing. So he actually booked me with this promoter in a resort in DR. Told the promoter that I had previously worked with in the past, told him, hey, DJ Suzie va a estar en el país de tal fecha, do you want to book her? They're like, yes. He sends them a contract, they send him a deposit, he pockets the deposit, and then I didn't know about it. And so a good friend of mine, DJ Mariposa, who's the most famous DJ in Dominican Republic, big shout out to DJ Mariposa, te amo, mi amor. She calls me.
Yo también te amo.
Te amamos aquí in Cali. So DJ Mariposa hits me up, and this was when I was with Oscar in Cabo DJing the New Year's party. Me llama DJ Mariposa y me dice, hey, Susie, ¿dónde estás? And I'm like, I'm in Mexico. She's like, porque aquí tienen tu foto en el resort que supuestamente vas a tocar mañana.
Una fiesta pautada ya, ready.
Yeah, and in the resorts in Punta Cana, they promote you everywhere. They have, your guest DJ, and they have your picture, banners all over the resort. So she calls me and she tells me, hey, you're supposed to be here. Apparently, this guy sold you to this promoter. He showed face the day before, checks into the hotel, tells them that I was supposed to arrive the next day, that I was going to make it into sound check. Turns out he uses up the hotel room. I heard he brought a few chicks over. The next day when it was time to do sound check, he ghosted. He left. And then Mariposa hits me up and she's like, hey, I'm sorry to tell you, but apparently this guy sold you and he stole their deposit. So now there's repercussions that comes with it, and now they're planning on suing. So I said, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. I'm not involved in that. Like, I had no idea this guy was doing that. I didn't want to be involved with his scam. So, I had to clear my name. I actually did a video and that I posted on Instagram, and I let everyone know that I was no longer associated with him or with any other form of representation. I had no manager at the time. But that was a very important life lesson.
So you go through that experience, you get used. Then you decide to, at some point later, you decide to find a manager. What were you looking for? How did you land the manager you have now?
So I met my manager, Raul. Back in the day, I met him through my mother. And, I hit it off with him. He's actually Mexican and he's from Arizona. But I swear to God, in another life, I feel like he was Dominican and from New York. Because we have the same personality, we have chemistry. And he gets me, he's a little younger than me, so I'm able to kind of like steer him in the right direction. And I explained to him what happened with my ex-manager. So he knows, everything that's happened to me. You know what I love about Dominican Republic? And I learned so much when I went on tour in Dominican Republic. Honestly, I wouldn't be the DJ I am today had it not been for those experiences. Because I tell people all the time, la música, porque yo toco música latina, right? I get down with the reggaeton, dembow, all the tropical stuff. I do open format because I play EDM and I also play hip hop. But my forte is Latin music. I get down with the reggaeton. So, el reggaeton pega al Caribe primero. So they're the first ones to get the music. And then it goes to New York, then it goes to Miami, and then it works. I feel like LA gets the music last. I feel like, and it's not to shit on the DJs in LA, because I have the utmost respect for my colleagues. And everyone knows that I have so much respect for these DJs, that still play on turntables, that, are still very prideful about, their background and how they started, going to parties, carrying crates with all these vinyls. I respect the art of DJing so much that I decided to learn how to play on turntables, how to play on CDJs. Everyone shits on me because I like to play on a controller, but it's not my fault. I learned how to DJ in the digital era. Why would you shit on me for learning how to play on today's setup and the equipment that's being used nowadays? You go to the East Coast and you go to most Latin venues in the East Coast and their setup is a controller. The SZ, the SX, like that's what they use. Why? Because it's portable and it's crispy. It just sounds crispy. You don't have to deal with the needle jumping, especially if like if the house has a real loud bass or something, or a shitty mixer.
Right.
So I've learned how to play on every type of setup. My preference is a controller because that's just how I learned.
If you did music, what kind of music What'd you do? Would you do dembow?
Yeah,
rap?
of course.
What would you do?
Reggaeton and dembow for
That would
sure
be
to
your
start
market?
off. Start off. Yeah, and then to kind of venture out into other things. I would like to be, you know, it's hard. You really don't see female producers unless it's EDM. You don't see female producers that produce Latin music. So that's more my goal. That's my goal. That's my next step. So, you know, hopefully in the next 2 years we'll make it happen.
What was the reason that you didn't travel when you were younger? What stopped you from going to DR?
Bueno, mi papá dejó a mi mamá cuando ella estaba embarazada de mí. So yo no me crié con mi papá. Mis hermanos se criaron con mi papá y ellos desde niños fueron a República Dominicana. And they were boys. So my dad, whenever he would take my brothers to DR, he would ask my mom if he could take me. But my mom was like, hell no, you're not going to take her. You know, like she felt, this is the thing with my mom. She was so overprotective because I was the only girl.
Right.
And she didn't really trust my dad. You know, because I think this is the thing with my father. I think my father, since he had so many boys, when I came along, he didn't know how to treat me. You know, he didn't know how to be soft with me. Tú sabes. So he kind of, like whenever I would go out with him, yo regresaba con un chinchón, or una vez, you know, por poco me ahogué en la piscina because él no estaba muy pendiente de mí.
Sí.
Él no estaba muy pendiente de mí y mi mamá lo sabía. Sí. So imagínate going to Dominican Republic when I was, you know, a kid. My mom was never going to let that happen. And then, you know, unfortunately, you know, with my father's situation, I was never really close to him like that. So I didn't get to go to Dominican Republic until I was 26. I went to DR and I fell in love with DR. I was actually going to move out there. And it's, you know, it's my second home. I love República Dominicana.
What things can you say Mexico and Dominican Republic have in common? The people, the food, like what things, porque tú lo viviste, tú te criaste.
Definitely not the food.
Okay.
Definitely not the food. You know, Dominicans have mango and Mexicans have chilaquiles. You know, which is, you know, just completely just different ingredients,
right.
Different spices, you know, so the food is completely different. What I can say, what we have in common is that we're very patriotic.
Okay.
100%. Like Dominicans are super proud to be Dominican and Mexicans are super proud to be Mexicans. So then you have me, Dominican Mexican. People always ask me, what do you identify yourself with more?
I was just going to ask you that right now, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I can't really say that I identify myself with one culture more than the other because, like I said, my mother raised me. My mom is the most Mexican Dominican mother you will always you'll never find a woman like my mother because, you know, she practically grew up in New York with my dad's side of the family. So my mom gets down in the kitchen. She knows how to cook your arroz con habichuela, rabo, carne guisada, mangú. So it's like growing, and then I would always go to Mexico as a kid. So I know Mexico and I know the culture and I grew up watching, you know, las novelas, and my mom loved, you know, all the Mexican artists, Lupita D'Alessio, Joan Sebastian, Los Bukis, you know, so I grew up listening to Mexican music.
Okay.
And, you know, I identify with my Mexican roots just as much as I identify with my Dominican roots.
What do you think about Dominican men?
What do I think about Dominican men?
A lot of Dominican men, unfortunately, we have bad rep.
Yeah, you guys have a horrible rep.
Whatever. I try to fight it.
Es la verdad, mi amor.
En la intimidad, ¿con quién tú te vas? ¿Con un dominicano o con un mexicano?
I've dated Mexican guys, and I've dated Dominican guys, obviously. El Dominicano, hands down.
Where can people follow you? Where can they follow your journey? What's the best way to, you know, see your stuff and really stay in tune with DJ Suzie?
Bueno, para toda mi gente de la página Dominicans in Cali and worldwide, you guys can follow me at SUSIE de los Santos. That's SUSIE de los Santos, corrido. The reason why I haven't changed my Instagram name is because a lot of people know me as SUSIE de los Santos. My message to those young girls who aspire to be, you know, not only a DJ, but, you know, any profession, you know, in the field of their choice, to just strive and hustle and work. I swear, if you put that work in, it's only gonna come back to you. I believe so much in the law of attraction, and I feel like your mind is a magnet and your thoughts are frequency. The more you think it, the more it becomes. So don't ever lose faith in God. I feel like God has a plan for everyone, but we tend to steer away from those plans because there's temptation, because there's hate. Just focus, be a good person. Try to be the best person that you possibly can. Try to be the best daughter, brother, friend. Just try to be the best person that you possibly can, and good things will happen for you. And just never stop hustling. Don't ever lose sight of your dreams, ever. So here are some of the gigs that I've done in the past. As you can see here, I DJed in Punta Cana. Opened up for Pitbull. My boy DJ'd Tonio Skid's birthday party. That's my boy right there. I love him. I've opened up for Ozuna, for Farruko. Opened up for Daddy Yankee and Nati Nastasia in Vegas. This is actually my debut. This is the very first gig I ever did. You know, these are some of my accomplishments. You know, we gotta represent Dominicans in Cali, baby. Ay.